Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Virche Evermore, continuing Eve's route. Well, we just got started, really, so. Anyway, Eve went on to show me where he kept the safe and their store of inventory, how he did the books, and how to organize his materials. I then did some light cleaning with the help of Eve and Hugo so that we could bring in a desk where I would work. Immediately afterward, Karun had its first job of the day, working with the Corps to help procure some materials. I was like, they knew, but no. In order to ensure that everyone wouldn't be surprised by my sudden presence, I decided to head out with Eve and Hugo to the church that was currently being used as a meeting place for the Corps. It was the same church where the Society of Exorcists sometimes held their gatherings to protest the use of reliver technology. At the unexpected appearance of Death,
Hey, isn't that the same Death who's killed countless people? Pipe down, you idiot! You know she's the leader's foster sister, right?
I could feel the fear and confusion ripple through the church. The only exception to this was Adolphe, who was assigning his men on the rounds that were to be made. He's so fucking skinny. He's like so lanky. Like, good God. That would happen. Adolphe, you need a sandwich. I'm sorry, I shouldn't body shame Adolphe. I'm not, but like, the man is skinny as shit. Like, good God, girl.
Sorry, they're actually good guys, but...
Don't worry, I was the one who asked Eve to bring me here so that I could introduce myself. More than that, are you really okay with my looking into Boro? Knowing Adolphe, I expected him to try and discourage me from delving deeper. I mean, like, seriously, he's tiny. Just a lanky little beanpole.
I'm not gonna nag you about reading some records on a shelf. Hey now, you were kicking up a fuss over something similar last time. So are you done being protective of her?
No, I mean, that's Adolphe's character. That's who he is. Also, he's probably one of the least offensive, protective characters I've ever fucking seen. You know what I mean? Like, there are the overprotective ones who are like, I'm gonna yeet you into the fucking sun. Or the protective brother / protective childhood friend type character that he is, he's very, like, he's really fucking lax at his job of being overprotective. And I gotta high five him for that. Like, sometimes they do it in a way and you're like, yeah, maybe he's being a little overprotective, but it's understandable. And he's like, actually, like, in this scenario, I would expect you to be like way more psycho about it, but like, you're pretty fucking chill about it. So like, I'm not gonna complain, you know? Just saying. I don't know.
I realized that I was being overprotective, which is why I'm not saying anything now.
And the thing is like that realization. I was being overprotective, so I'm simmering down. Ah! We get a little crown for our queen here, because, like, most of the time our overprotective, like, trope boys don't fucking get it. Like, simmer down, I'm just getting a sandwich, but the refrigerator might attack you, I'll do it! What if you touch the handle and you get shocked? Well, I wish someone would open the fridge for me in that case, because I fucking electrocute myself constantly. You know, it's been happening a lot less lately, but there was a point in time where it was like every fucking thing I touched electrocuted me. I got shocked everywhere, and I'm like, the shit. You know, it had to be my slippers now that I'm thinking about it, because I have worn 2 different pairs of slippers. Because those ones need to go in the wash. So I'm like, you know, it was absolutely like the rubber on the bottom of my slippers. Now that I think about it. But still, like, you touch a light switch, shocked. You just looked at a light, shocked. I wasn't even doing anything, shocked. So, you know. But seriously? Anyway.
And I'm not worried since Eve is going to be with her.
I appreciate the trust you have in me, but aren't you giving me too much credit? Adolphe spoke in as few words as possible. Aw, look at his little face. Look at his little face right now. He's like, no, I adore you. Oh, you're my bestie. Oh, I don't want to get in the middle of your bromance. Sign and I will be in the corner making out. You two have your bromance. And then join us. But I could tell he placed full trust in Eve just from the tone of his voice. What a strange and captivating sight. This the way Adolphe's looking at him with such an endearing little face. Like, I like it too. Adolphe always kept to himself, only opening up to Mother and me, so how was Eve able to build such a strong friendship with him? But okay. Kind of goes back to the very beginning where the little intro thing, and you're like, are we supposed to read this like Anko or whatever? And then the what? And it just felt a little like it's, it, or I mean, hi, going back to again Lucas when he killed everyone, and then Anko just being really distraught over it, a little more than he probably should have been. And now you're sitting here and like, look at the way Adolphe just loves Eve so much. Like, Eve is his bestie. Like, he's just, oh, okay. And so now that parallel's just back in the back of my mind. Like, what kind of time traveling bullshit is this? There better be some time travel happening here. I mean, I think we kind of already established that's a fair bet with Anko anyway, just because some of the shit that he says. And like the fact that like how many versions of him have been here and done this shit over again, and the rewind sound effects that happen sometimes when it sounds like it's rewinding or whatever, like a tape being all fucked up when you like make a bad choice. So it's like, no, rewind that bitch, like you wrong. Anyway, he befriended the brother even I didn't fully know. As questions continued to arise in my mind, I looked at Eve's gentle face. Our eyes suddenly met. I quickly turned my head, embarrassed that he found out I'd been staring at him. Suddenly,
Hey, wait a minute, leader! We knew that she was going to be working at Karun, so that's fine, but having her involved in the course business is, You want her out?
the man, obviously flustered, as well as those around us, nodded in agreement.
What the heck?
I explained this to everyone a few days ago, and you all wholeheartedly agreed with her being here, knowing who she was, right? The idea was that her joining us would help reduce the load and let the core focus.
Whoa! Yeah, and don't you guys think it's pretty low to renege on something you didn't voice your complaints about before? I gotta at least hand it to you for having the balls to be upfront with Adolphe instead of gossiping like the rest of Cohen. Such a backhanded compliment. At least you had the balls to say something instead of being cowardly assholes. Still suck though, like, damn. We understand she's your sister, Adolphe, but we can't help the fact that we're still freaked out by her. This is where I spin my head.
Oh, right, my head doesn't spin around like that, because I'm just a fucking person, Jesus.
He's right. I heard that a lot of kids at the orphanage you used to live in got sick because of her.
They probably got sick because we live in a literal hellhole.
We still are ready to be relivers, so if something happens... Is that really the only reason? Well, seeing her in person now is scary. Sorry.
I love that I'm just intimidating to people. I was too far away to hear the last part properly, but at the very least, I knew that they were all afraid of me. This is why I would never work in an Otome game as the main character. Because they're all like, oh, I know, I'm docile and sweet, and I'd be like, and I would make their lives hell. Like, look, you're gonna fucking say shit about me? I'm gonna live up to the reputation here. You wanna call me an asshole? I'll be an asshole, motherfucker! Because I have no fucks left to give! Like, But what is she, like 18? So, like, yeah, when I was 18, I was probably like, okay. A little more accommodating than I am now, being old. And literally all my fucks ran out a long time ago, so. Just saying. At that, Hugo let out a heavy sigh. Eve was mumbling to himself, thinking of how he could convince them again. I could tell them that the Watchman of Death was suppressing my powers, so it was safe. Then again, I highly doubted anyone would believe any of that. But still, I knew that I needed to say something. I couldn't keep relying on the others. Just as I was about to apologize to everyone for suddenly coming here and scaring them.
she isn't death. She's just a normal human girl.
Adolphe's bold voice forcefully silenced everyone's confusion.
No matter how many times I say it, I know it won't do anything to alleviate your fears. So think of it in these terms. What if accepting her protects us from a certain danger lurking around us?
Huh?
Listen carefully. Spacey works at the orphanage every day and handles the chores there, meaning the meals she prepares taste great. She can cook dishes out of any ordinary ingredient. And not a single child has fucking died this week.
I haven't been there all week, though. Shh, girl, I'm trying to help you.
I don't need to say more, do I? If you guys accept her and allow her into our group, I can remove Eve from handling dinner and have Spacey cook something far better for us instead.
He's like, I like how he just, it was just such a casual, like, instead of being like, it was such casual shade to fucking Eve's cooking. Oh my god, I love it. Like, she cooks at the orphanage. I'm just saying, like, Eve won't have to cook for us and she can do it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, great idea. Instead of being like, do you want to die? Like, listen, what are your choices? You deal with her cooking you a good meal and maybe you die, or you eat more of Eve's cooking and maybe you die. What do you want? You want to go out after eating what Eve cooks, or you want to go out after actually eating a good meal? Pick a lane. Huh? Did I hear him correctly? Huh? Like, poor Eve has no clue that his cooking is, like, literally death. I'm pretty sure we told him. It seemed Eve's thought this... Eve's... Why do I keep saying... I was trying to say Eve thought, and it came out Eve's thought. Don't know why the S got snuck in there. Oh my god. It seemed Eve thought the same thing I did. It's the Eve thought. Eve thought. Like, I don't know why that made me want to, like, just throw a random S in there. Hugo was doing his best to stifle his laughter, while the members of the corps murmured in a different way from before. Look at Hugo's little joyous face. I love it. He's so gonna die, isn't he? He better not turn out to be an asshole. Does that mean we don't have to eat Eve's horrible cooking? That changes the situation completely! Yeah, but don't our meals curse whoever eats them? Yeah, but we still doomed if we have to keep eating whatever Eve makes. They all turned and looked at me from a distance, then... Sorry about earlier! We're happy you're here, so please make some delicious... No, please make us something safe to eat! Before long, everyone heartily welcomed me into the group. I'm not sure I feel right about all this. For God's sake, she could serve him a Pop-Tart, and that's still safer than what Eve makes. Pop-Tarts are delicious, though. I glanced to my side, and as expected, I forgot to read that before I clicked the button.
Hey! You guys don't have to be so cruel. I was just trying my best to make something good that everyone could enjoy for dinner.
Seeing Eve utterly disappointed, praise his creativity, suggest new ingredients, offer to sample his dishes. I feel like... Okay. You want to kind of praise his creativity or offer to sample his well, no. Offering to sample his dishes is, I don't want to die as much as I love him, and I want to make him feel better. The offering to sample his dishes would be like, I'll try them, and that would make him feel better, but also I don't want to die, so... praising his creativity is just a nice thing, without risking death, okay? Suggesting new ingredients is more like, maybe we could try something different, is like, yeah, no, your cooking is horrible. But, like, the nice way to say it. So I feel like, do we want to... But, like, at the same time, Eve would praising his creativity be like, it's okay, sweetie, we love you. Like, does he want that reassurance? Or would he prefer the honest truth? I don't know. My gut was to praise his creativity. You know? But suggesting new ingredients is good as well. It is praise his creativity. Okay, he just wants a pat on his little head. Okay. Eve, I think you're really creative when it comes to cooking. Remember the way you sliced the fish before? The cuts were sliced so thin that they were like glass.
Thanks. I guess that at least the way my dishes look is good. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that at least the way my dishes look is good.
conversation slowly shifted away, wow, from what was supposed to be my ability to cause misfortune to others, and onto Eve's ability to cook misfortune. Still, this feels so nice. I whispered to Eve, seeing him still glum after hearing everyone's comments. Oh, they hurt his little feelings. It's adorable. Even the rumors about me can turn into a fun conversation with you and the others. I never thought I'd hear the topic shift from my curse to what someone's cooking tastes like.
I guess my being the butt of the joke was worth it to see you laugh like this. But let me warn you that I intend on reclaiming my position as the resident chef.
Who? I want to be like, who died and made everyone else have to suffer like this? God knows, because in this country, everybody dies all the time. But, like, God, that poor, like, nobody else can even remotely cook. These men are that incapable. Seriously, nobody even tried. I'm just saying, you don't have to be good at it, because even if you're terrible at cooking, you're probably better than Eve. Well, I tried to scramble eggs and they're either undercooked or they're burnt. Well, still better than whatever Eve fishes out of the fucking lake. You know what I mean? Well, the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, the man eats death flowers. I'm just saying. Anything you can manage to scrape together would probably be less deadly than anything he cooks. He issued his challenge with such a friendly smile. I was filled with joy and relief, knowing that he really did see me as his friend. Still, I wonder why Eve is so caring toward me and why he looks after me like this. Well, he saved your ass from a fire, and he loves you, and there's probably something else going on. Some other kind of secret thing. We know he's got some kind of secret mission that even he doesn't know what it is because he's got amnesia, so maybe it has something to do with us. And that's why he dragged us out of the fire and then promptly forgot. You know, because of trauma. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he actually hated me for what happened. I mean, here's the thing. You didn't fall on top of him and force him to get burnt. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I get the thought process, like her being like, oh, he must hate me because he suffered, like, burns because he saved me. But it's like, if you are a person who is like, I'm going to run into that burning building and save that cat or that kid or that person, you do not resent that cat or that kid or that person when you come out with, like, third-degree burns or something. Or injuries or get whatever, you know? Because you made that choice. It's not like you were running for your life and someone grabbed you and forced you to stay with them and you were like, no, fuck you, man, and you were trying to escape. Then you would resent them, right? But, like, you knew what you were risking when you ran back in. You know what I mean? So, like, I can't imagine, like, Eve would hate her because, oh yeah, I ran back into the building and dragged you out. And I got maimed because of it. Like, he made that choice. Like, but I get it with her. It's the, everyone thinks she's death, so she's got this, like, I don't want to say this little pity party going on, but she kind of has a pity party going on. Understandably so, because everyone is awful to her. So of course you're going to have an awful self-esteem and self-worth because of the way people treat you, you know? But, like, so, like, that's why she does, like, thinks this. And I think in a normal Otome game, it would piss me off. I'd be like, don't be such a fucking sad sack. Jesus Christ, you're pathetic. You know what I mean? Like, oh, dear God. Oh, you must hate me. Oh, they hate me. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. You know, it would kind of make me mad, but, like, she kind of has a reason to be a little sad sack about shit like this. You know what I mean? And kind of think these thoughts where you're like, okay, part of me wants to be like, snap out of it, girl. But literally everywhere you walk, people are afraid you're going to curse them. So can't really blame you for being like, I know this person risked their life to come save me. They must hate me for that. Because everyone hates you for existing.
let alone like the fact that Eve actually got injured doing that, you know? So like I could kind of understand it in her case, but like I do kind of hope in a way she snaps out of it. Like what was her actual phrasing? Like I wouldn't be surprised if he actually hated me. You should be at this point. Like, you know, there was a point I wouldn't have been surprised if he hated me, but he actually doesn't seem to, and that surprises me. You know what I mean? Like I hope it doesn't become a theme where she's like, oh, he must hate me. He must hate me. Like, no. I get being like, I'm really surprised he doesn't after what happened. And then you talk about it, he's like, why would I? I made that choice. And she's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't want her to harp on the pity party thing. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. After Eve and Hugo escorted me back, I returned to my room. She got her reasons. Legit ones. I sat on the bed and remembered the kind words Eve said before. Each time I experienced his kindness, I felt like I was undeservingly accepting it and forgetting how I injured him in the past. And it's that, like, right? Again, like, oh, I hurt him. Like, he made a choice, girl. And like, but her brain doesn't work. I don't want to say normally, but it kind of doesn't because, like, everybody's such an ass. And, like, somebody's flower wilts and somehow it's your fault because you walked past their house 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Because they just want to blame you for everything. Because it's easier. It's easier to blame a person than it is to blame the universe because, you know, the universe is just a thing. It's a concept. I mean, it exists, but you know what I mean? It's like the universe or God or whatever alien is watching us. Like, it's an indescribable entity, right? It doesn't have a physical form that you can blame. Where a person, you're like, you did this. It was your fault. You know, that's why people get pissed at doctors when they do everything they can and someone dies. It's you fucked up. It's you. I'm going to be mad at you because being mad at just the circumstances and age or illness or the universe doesn't give you the proper outlet where being mad at a person does. Even though that's, you know, kind of fucked up, but we're people. People are stupid. So, anyway, I'm so horrible. Well, only for thinking so lowly of yourself, but again, it's not your fault.
There's something to be gained by looking back at the past. It's fine. But it's no good if it only ends up hurting you. How about we save it for another day when we both have the courage to face it?
That's right. I can't just rely on Eve's kindness. I need to do better myself. I would never be able to fulfill that promise if I didn't overcome my cowardice. I needed to nurture what little courage I had left through my work at Karoon.
Instead, I want to know more about the kind of girl you are now. I'll also do my best to show you what kind of person I am now, whether in word or deed.
That promise, I needed to confront the past and apologize. And if possible, I wanted to fulfill my contract with Onko and face Eve with confidence. Facing Eve with confidence as a real human being. I want to become a true friend he can be proud of. But I couldn't say that with confidence. Not just yet. Yes, I'm still a coward. And again, you've been beaten down by society, so understandable. You'll get there. We know it. Oh.
I see. So she chose to be by his side. If so, there's nothing to worry about.
You're just everyone else. He's like, no, don't do it. No, danger, danger. This is probably not a good idea. What the fuck are you thinking? And now he's like, yeah, no, my home slice is cool. Listen. That said, even if it is fate, she can't even say a single word of thanks to him. It's a shame, isn't it? The next day, I headed right to Karoon, where I found and greeted even Hugo. Mid-morning was spent mostly on getting rid of all the dust in the room. Afterward, I went to their bookkeeping.
I went over their bookkeeping since they hadn't had much of a chance to go through it yet. The work order for today was a job I could accompany them to, so reviewing old client records would probably begin tomorrow. We stepped outside and got ready to part ways with Hugo near the marsh, since he had another work order to take care of. Since this was my first time going out on a job, I'd just be observing Eve and helping out if the opportunity arose.
Eve, I don't need to remind you, but you'd better not get her involved in your usual mess. If she gets hurt, Adolphe's gonna chase after you, sword in hand, all the way to the Lycoris fields.
I don't want to die until I'm ready to be a reliver, so I'll keep that in mind. And a fair warning to you, Hugo. Be careful not to hurt your back when you chop that firewood.
Shut up. I'm never making a fool of myself like that again.
After exchanging playful concerns with one another, Hugo walked away toward the east side of the district. With him out of sight, Eve and I finally turned and went to see our client for today. From what you said earlier, I take it you're planning on becoming a reliver?
Does that surprise you?
I shook my head in response. It's just that there are a lot of others who aren't very fond of the technology, like the Society of Exorcists.
Yeah, that really...
Hey, Eve, thanks for helping me find my wallet last time. If you didn't find it for me, I would have been completely broke.
Yeah, no problem at all. Just make sure it's secure in your pocket whenever you cross the waterway. And that's what it's all about. And which is more valuable, emotions or life itself? And no one has the right to decide which one you value more. Hey, it's Eve! Thanks for playing Pretend Core with me! Next time let's play Pretend Princess and Knight, okay? Only if I get to be the princess.
He didn't say it, but don't you wish he did?
Sure thing. I'll also invite Hugo to serve you, my dear princess. And so, in my case, the situation's a little different from...
There you are, Eve!
Oh, now he's all shocked because it's a prostitute. What kind of work order did she give you? Wait, but then she'd have to pay you. Interesting.
I lent some money to one of the other girls a few days ago, but I haven't seen her since. You wouldn't have seen someone that looks like this sketch, have you?
Let's see. Sorry, I haven't seen her. She doesn't look like anyone I've worked for. If you'd like, should Hugo and I track her down for you?
And don't worry, it's not a lot of money. And I bet you don't have time to handle a cheap job like this one.
I can make time for you if you're really in trouble. That's more important for me to help friends like you than to profit off the situation.
You know, I've told Hugo this before, but you really are...
Eve, here's a little something for fixing my well. They're cookies my sister baked.
Eve, thank you so very much for taking care of that drunkard in my store.
Eve, my dad wants you to help fix his boat in the waterway. My sis wants you and Hugo to watch your kids for a day. Sure, I'm more than happy to help. I need to get a few more details, so can you please tell him to come see me at the shop later? Okay!
I'd heard through rumors how trustworthy and dependable Eve and Hugo were, but not to this extent. Still, I like how he's like, yeah, so anyway, yep, nope, okay, here you go.
Oh, well, about to being a reliver,
And then like he keeps going and he's like, I think. Never gets a full sentence out. I could vaguely sense displeasure and doubts mixed in with the goodwill the crowd expressed. Why was death with Eve? Just as things were settling down, was she now planning on cursing him to death? The girl with blood-stained hands had no right to stand beside him. They probably have no clue who you are. No, they know, but like, I wonder, I would doubt, it's kind of funny, like, people probably aren't really thinking this, but she's just haunted by these, like, rumors that she assumes it. Had she forgotten what she did to him? Not only was I used to such whispers, I also had no right to be hurt by them, because they were completely true. I wasn't sure whether Eve could tell that some of the people around us were staring at me with suspicion, but... After he spoke with those around him, he turned his attention to me. Then, with a calm step forward, to close the distance,
I'm sorry for the interruption. We were talking about becoming a reliver, right?
Eve tried to continue our conversation.
Have you decided whether or not you want to become a reliver yourself?
No, not yet. I'm still thinking about it. I stammered, a bit nervous by how close he was. You're like, also, I have no money. I've been saving money just in case, but, to be honest, I had no intention of reviving myself and was instead planning to give the money to Mother if something happened to me. But with my conversation with Anko returning to mind, I couldn't bring myself to speak honestly about it with Eve.
If you do decide to become a reliver, you should move quickly. After all, even with the right amount of money, you could die while you're still on the wait list to get backed up.
With that, we set off down the road. The whispers around us continued as usual. Could you imagine? Struggling so hard and finally getting enough money saved, and you're like, cool, I'm on the wait list, and then, like, you die, like, 2 days before you're due to be backed up. That would suck. Eve gave no indication he was bothered by them, walking as though nothing was amiss.
Hey, Eve! That girl you're with!
Oh, she's my new friend. She's gonna be helping me at work for a while, too.
Despite their doubts and fears, Eve responded in his usual cheerful way. I was actually walking through the crowds of Coen without keeping my head down. This might be a first. And you wonder, is, like, your reputation gonna make it, like, people, like, are they gonna doubt Eve and, like, not go to Karun? Like, maybe we should just do it ourselves. Or are they gonna be like, oh, well, if Eve trusts her, then I guess it's cool. You know what I mean? Because it could go either way. Others gathered around Eve to express their thanks as we made our way through, though they were anxious about seeing me with him. I followed him as he cheerfully walked to see his client. The first work order of my life that I'd be assisting with was... over there! Look there, Eve! There's a bird with pretty feathers perched on top of the church steeple. Actually, it looks like it can't fly down. We were here to locate and capture a young man's pet bird, which had escaped from its cage. My pet bird escaped from his cage, too. You hear that? They're talking about Birdie. Birdie escaped from his cage. You escaped from your cage, too, but you're sitting on top of me. This man obviously does not have a clingy mama's bird, or daddy's bird, because this birdie flew away and got stuck outside, and you would never even dream of going outside. You're terrified of the giant sky orb. Terrified of the fucking sun. Like, if I walk, like, up the stairs and the sun's coming in through, like, the window that's in the stairwell, he's like, what the fuck? And if you try to, like, put him in the sun, he will run to your other shoulder. You, like, turn around. He's like, nah, get the thing away from me. Like, so, and I think if you took him outside, if not, goddamn, I would never take him outside not in his cage, because that is dangerous. Even on a harness, you have to be careful of other predator birds, because they could just swoop out of fucking nowhere. But he, in his cage, is like, the fuck is this? I hate it! He is like, so he's good. He won't, like, I mean, it doesn't mean he's not going to get terrified one day, the front door's open, he flies the fuck out, but, like, he would probably fly back in the house just as fast. Unless he was really scared or something bad happened, but still have to be careful. But he is not ever with the, nope, does not want to go outside. That's because I told him other birds outside would make fun of him, because he's a big fat mama's bird, and they would bully him. And they would. Also, the big bird, the scary birds, he's like, he sees other birds and he'll, like, chirp to them sometimes, but most of the time he sees them and he's like, the fuck? Especially, like, he knows when he's, like, a crow or a hawk, like, in the background, he makes his, like, he, like, kind of, like, gets all freaked out, so he knows a predator bird. Yeah, but seriously, if a predator bird got you, all you'd have to do is tap them with your dagger toes and they'd drop you. Your fucking toenails are god-awful. Really gonna have to take you to the doctor because you won't trim them off. Anyway. We interviewed residents in the neighborhood, and many of them reported that a bird of its description was seen around the church. So after dashing here as fast as we could, we discovered the bird mostly unmoving. I suppose we were lucky it didn't fly out of the country, but, it would die at sea.
I don't think it can come down on its own. The owner did say that he's kept the bird inside ever since it hatched, so maybe it's not used to flying.
In that case, well, yeah, it's I mean, and all it takes is a little gust of wind to take a bird away, even if it can't fly.
It's probably best I get up there and bring it down.
Eve rolled up his sleeves and did some quick stretches. You just gonna, like, fucking monkey climb up the damn church? Oh my god, please, I want to see a CG of that. Just dangling from a gutter. At Eve's direction, I quickly got approval from the priest of the church and borrowed an old ladder. Ah, okay, that makes more sense, thank God. We took the staircase up to the spire. With the ladder propped against the wall, I held it sturdy so it would stay in place. Eve leaned slightly out the window and stood on the ladder to make sure it was stable. Oh dear God, he's gonna fall out the fucking window. My legs. Dear God, I'm gonna vomit.
Okay, this should do. Well, time to rescue a little lost birdie. Oh, but if you can't keep the ladder in place, make sure to let it go right away. Otherwise, you could get really hurt.
Eve said so as if it was only natural, despite a thin rope being his only lifeline. No, I won't let go. I promised Hugo I'd support you no matter what.
You did, didn't you? Oh, well then, I'm counting on you to help me through this.
Yes, absolutely. On our way up to the steeple, a crowd had gathered around the base of the church after having gotten word about it. If you fall out this window, everyone's going to think I pushed you. Eve was preparing to climb up, tying the single thin rope around himself. He stepped onto the ladder, and I held it in place with all my might. My arms went tense as I felt his weight shaking it with each step. But I managed to hold it together and nodded to Eve, who looked back at me with concern. I mean, the thing is like, except for I shouldn't be hanging out the window, but I'm lighter, so I should be hanging out the window. He gave me a reassuring nod in response, then quickly went up to the ladder before my arms could give way. He used his hands and feet to climb up the wall, using whatever holds he could find. Strong wind blew from the ocean as if to get in his way, but Eve simply tightened his grip and kept his body flush against the wall. Good, just a little closer as the bird flies off. The crowd cheered on, and my heart wrenched in suspense. He forcefully pulled himself up to the very top. He forcefully pulled himself up to the top and landed on a flat area, safe and sound. Eve, how's the bird doing?
I look scared. I'll use the feed you prepared.
I leaned as far out as I could to see Eve. He took out a small pouch from his pocket, then poured a bit into his hand and stretched it out toward the bird.
Come on, little birdie. I'm a friend of your owner's. No need to be scared.
Perhaps it was hungry, as it quickly turned its attention toward the feed. The bird cautiously approached the outstretched hand full of minced vegetables. That's not the way to get my bird. You gotta bring him cheese or some shit. Like, feed. Vegetables. My bird would be like, the fuck is that? I'm not dying. Even if I was starving to death, I doubt I'd eat that. Bird. Just hold out a bottle of beer. He'll be there in a hot second. After giving the bird a moment to peck away at its lunch,
Gotcha!
Eve carefully and gently cradled the bird in his hands. Thank goodness! I was worried you'd lose your balance. I let out a sigh of relief so deep that it seemed to let all of the air out of my lungs. The crowd below us rejoiced, but my relief was short-lived. I gripped the ladder tightly again so that Eve could come down safely. Suddenly, there was an unsettling sound. I immediately looked up at Eve. A portion of the roof he was using as a foothold broke apart. Huh? Before I could do anything, it was too late. My eyes met Eve's as he slipped and fell down. Eve! I grabbed onto his lifeline, but I couldn't stop him from falling. Eve braced for the impact in a way that protected the little bird instead of himself. Aww. That was a crash. Jesus. He sank right through the old roof, disappearing into the darkness of the hole he created.
That was scary. I never expected the roof to give way like that.
Look, he is covered in blood. There is blood pouring off of this man, Jesus.
Are you hurt? Your owner will be sad if your precious wings are broken.
It's been a while, Eve. Encountering a former student in this way is certainly a surprise.
Lucas, what are you doing here?
Is it the sound of blood pouring off him? Jesus.
Oh, wait. You must be here to pray.
Yes, and it just so happened that you fell from the heavens, just as I was praying to them.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm the answer to anyone's prayers.
I mean, I don't know. Lucas, what were you praying for? I think I now understand how Dr. Campesine felt.
Lucas pinched his brows together as blood dripped from the cheerful Eve's head. All I could do was stand there in a stupor at the sight of Eve joking despite his wounds.
I'm sorry, Spacey. I don't think I have it in me to let him... I don't have it in me to give him a stern lecture with all that blood. Do you mind tending to his wounds first?
Right. Eve, would you mind parting the hair from your forehead so I can check? Eve nodded in agreement. He walked to an open seat to sit down and parted his hair for me. I needed to see how deep his wound was, so I wiped away the blood from his head. Seeing my fingertips covered in his blood, Eve's brow curved in an apologetic way.
I'm sorry to cause you trouble so soon after you started.
It's fine. Well, not fine for you, but I'm glad you weren't too badly injured. I stared at Eve's blood, then looked up and down at his clothes covered in dust. It wasn't a short fall. His hair was hiding wounds, some not so small. Yet he showed no signs of distress, and it didn't look like he was in pain either. Okay, like, what kind of superhuman are you? Everybody is superhuman. I'm just saying, are you sure there's not someone where, like, sci-fi fucking robots or something? Nobody seems to be in pain ever. Back when he had fought Boro, he swung his sword valiantly and without fear. It seemed he was just good with pain, but just watching him bear his wounds like that was hurting me. Yeah, maybe he's one of those people that doesn't feel pain. Got his arm, you're like, your arm is on backwards, it's completely broken. It's fine. Like, Eve,
Yeah,
worried about you. I voiced an honest thought as I wiped away the blood, but I just love the fact that he's such a labradoodle that he's like pouring blood everywhere, and he's like, I'm fine. As if he didn't expect to hear it from me, Eve stared with his mouth slightly open. Lucas let out another deep sigh at Eve's reaction, then left the room to wash the bloody rags. Eve, I know I'm useless, but that doesn't mean I'll just sit around and watch as a dear friend gets hurt. I understand you may need to put yourself in harm's way for certain work orders, just like with the Corps. But please at least allow yourself to say it hurts when you're in pain. Of course I'll take care of you regardless, but saying that it hurts can help ease the pain too.
okay. Oh, thanks. Oh, but in exchange, I don't want you to say that you're useless. You do know that the fall wasn't as bad as it could have been because you pulled on my lifeline, right?
Really? Well, I'm glad to know that I could be of some help. As we continued to have our open chat, the bird's just sitting there like, you, got any more of those snacks, bro? The bird we caught flew above us in circles, chirping as though it was worried too. Because it's like, I'm fucking inside now! But not in my cage! A short while later, I thanked Lucas for the salve and bandages he provided. After a short check, we found out that the roof was rotting, which led to the break. We decided that we'd talk with the Corps later to see if we could work together to get the roof fixed. What you doing, cutie? We then returned the bird to its family and headed back to Karun. See, they brought the birdie. I don't have anyone to call and rescue you if you fly away, so don't fly away. Don't you ever leave. You're never allowed to go anywhere. You're never allowed to die either. Along the way, Eve was stopped again by the townsfolk and...
I heard about what happened. I'm just glad you weren't badly hurt. I'll make a donation to the church, so if you need any funds, please feel free to use that money. I suppose I made the right call in dragging the master outside for some shopping. Just so you know, the marsh was abuzz with talk of Eve's adventure as well as you, Spacey.
I can't do his voice right now. I don't know, whatever. It's fine. No, oh, not just Eve, but me too.
Everyone was surprised that the reckless Eve actually listened to death without putting up a fight.
Eve, don't tell me this isn't the first time something like this has happened.
That definitely isn't the first. But it's not like I get injured often, I think.
I think?
But I'm happy to hear the people in Gwen are actually talking about you. With Boro gone, hopefully it'll clear up some of the misunderstandings and prejudices against you.
I hope so too. Thank you very much, Mathis. Mathis smiled at me gently, considering my peace of mind first. Even though he must still be coming to terms with the death of his brother's killer.
It's quite a waste to end this friendship simply because the incident's been resolved. I would be happy if we could all continue having a good relationship like before.
Absolutely. Come by Karoon anytime, even for just a friendly chat.
Okay, I'll stop by one day.
Even though we know Jean's a horrible bastard, I still love him. Just gonna suck that horrible bastard out. After being stopped on our way back, we returned later than expected.
You idiot! I can't believe you already dragged her into your shenanigans.
Hugo returned before us, having heard what happened earlier. He hit Eve with a stern hand chop away from his wounds.
Well, I'm sorry. I never expected looking for a bird would cause so much commotion.
It is stressful looking for birds. It is. Imagine the person who lost their birdie. How stressed out they must. Oh, terrifying. I'm just glad the roof didn't crumble where the people were. Of course, that didn't mean I was glad that Eve was the only one hurt. I looked at him to see if he was still doing all right. Eve, the bandage on your hand is falling off.
Oh, right, you're right. Not after you did so much to patch me up, too.
I can wrap your hand again.
Well, if you don't mind, then. I'll get some new bandages, so hang on just a moment.
And with that, Eve quickly headed to the back, his loose bandage fluttering along the way.
Sorry to keep you here for so long. I bet you guys took a while to get back because of all of his friendly chit-chat.
Well, yes, but it was a great opportunity to learn how much everyone likes Eve.
Likes, huh? Well, that's true, but don't believe everything you see or hear about Eve. He's not the kind of person you might think he is.
Well, that's intriguing, Hugo. Huh? I never thought I'd hear such a thing from Eve's own partner. After a short silence, Hugo shrugged it as if to say it didn't matter.
As you can see, Eve's what you would call a goody two-shoes. That much is true. Even if I weren't his partner, I'd say he was the most good-natured, trustworthy guy in the country.
Then what did you mean earlier?
Oh, he just likes to stab people. No, that's Lucas, though. He's too nice that you could also say he's just plain stupid.
He's not wrong, though. That's where we get the Labradoodle from, because he's a little dumb. But it's adorable.
He always forces himself to do good unto others, even if it means hurting himself. Stupid?
That was a terrible thing to say. It's kind of true, though. But I also remembered how Eve fell through the roof of the church and gave little to no thought about his injuries. But doesn't that mean he's just kind-hearted?
Yeah, everyone says that at first. They say Eve's a great guy and a dependable friend. But I bet it won't take long for you to be like the others.
The others?
Never mind what I said. In any case, I'm sorry about what you went through, especially considering this was your first work order.
Is it seriously that everyone, so Eve is what drives everyone away and it's not just his cooking? Interesting. No, I'm glad I was able to hear your opinion about Eve. Not to mention, I had a great time being able to walk outside without worrying, all thanks to him. He's the embodiment of carefree. Nice to know that I can rub off on a person. Nice to know that can rub off on a person. Sorry. After having something light to eat at Karoon, Eve escorted me back to the orphanage. I asked Mother, who was waiting to hear my report, to come to my room where I began to speak about what happened. A young man who's kind, strong, trusted and relied upon by many, who works to bring happiness to others. Eve sounds like a perfect hero that appears in a tale of adventure. That analogy suits him well, but Eve isn't a hero in a story. He's just an ordinary person. Or is he, though? Because, now that she says it, he sounds like a hero in a novel. And it's and that makes it sound a little suspicious that the game is pointing it out and do you see? You see? Everyone here's got darkness inside. which is why I don't want him to be so rash when he does things, or something bad could happen. I must say, I'm very happy you found a very good friend. Mother listened to my report with joy, but then she suddenly paused for a moment. If this was what you would experience, then I should have brought you two together sooner. Bring us together, not introduce? Was I reading Mother's regretful words correctly? Don't tell me the reason I didn't meet Eve sooner is because... Yes, it's no coincidence. I asked Adolphe in the orphanage that took him in to keep him away from you. I didn't want you to question yourself any more than needed because of that fire. So Eve came to this orphanage only while I was in my room. In turn, Eve was assigned to patrol a distant area as a corps member so that he wasn't near where I went shopping for goods. But the Bordeaux incident and the false accusations pitted on me changed things. She couldn't keep me from finally meeting him since he was the deputy director of the corps. Mother explained everything regretfully. I mean, it makes sense. I see. I could only return a simple reply. Aren't you upset? How could I be? You arranged everything for my sake and everyone else's. Your worries were justified, too. And the way we eventually encountered each other was perfect in bringing us together as friends. If I accidentally met Eve somewhere out in town, there's no telling what the results would have been. It would be like any other encounter. I would probably run away in fear without apologizing and end up hurting him more. When I thought about it, why did I run away in the first place? He was so beautiful back then. There was nothing to be afraid of. I let out a sigh of disappointment, thinking about my past. Mother misunderstood my sigh as being angry, so she apologized. I hurriedly corrected her misunderstanding. The next day, the work order asked for the three of us. Hold on. Ear itches. Like, obviously the ear under my microphone. We were to go and assist a certain farmer. A number of reliver families existed in the northwest side of the country where they focused on agriculture and livestock. Our mission today was to help one of them. Hugo would be handling the horses. Eve and I would be tending to the field of vegetables and flowers to improve the field quality. Before getting right to work, Eve and I looked at the paper from the client with a list of what was needed.
That says he wants these two types of vegetables to grow so they can be harvested next season, but the two look similar. What if you plant the seeds close to each other, and they get in the way of each other's growth? And the fertilizer needs are different too, so it might be better to grow them in different parts of the field.
Sounds good to me. It's reassuring to be with someone so knowledgeable. Well, that's true. He is good at planting and growing things. After Eve determined a plan of action. It's like, you want me to pet you, but then you get mad at me for petting you. You're being a brat. I rolled up my skirt a bit and got right into planting the seeds as instructed by him. Phew! I never thought seeding the field would be this tiring. Focusing on efficiency, I needed to work smoothly by crouching and standing each time over and over again. My stamina drained steadily and my back slowly began to ache. I thought it wouldn't be too different from planting flowers at the orphanage. I can't hum. In turn, Eve was quickly and smoothly planting the seeds into the ground while removing the weeds he encountered. I mean, I can kind of hum, but, like, humming also takes a lot of nasal power. Like some people are better, and, like, mine nose is always completely stuffed, so, like, I can barely breathe through my nose, so, like, humming is difficult. You really are good at this, Eve. No wonder you're Adolphe's teacher.
You just need to get used to it. I can only do this because I've grown plants ever since I was a kid.
The knowledge he shared with me earlier was something I had never heard of before. At the very least, I was sure what he told me was something that wasn't taught at the orphanage or in class. Did someone teach you how to grow and cultivate vegetables, Eve?
Sure. My grandpa taught me how to handle different kinds of plants. I personally like plants, especially flowers, so I sometimes breed the flowers I grow.
Breed?
That's a method where you combine different flowers together to create a new breed of flowers.
Oh, you can do that? I always thought that flowers and their colors were set as soon as they started growing.
Most people think so. I don't think it's taught to become a knowledge.
Huh. That means
That's a method that was passed down in my family. And one of my ancestors really liked plants, especially flowers. He conducted research on plants and passed his knowledge down through the generations. I learned what I know from my grandpa.
maybe you have something to do with the Lycris field. That's your your purpose. You know, because they're plants. Ancestors, grandfather. There were no elderly people in this country, so it was hard to imagine what they looked like aside from being young, but I bet they were gentle and caring like you, Eve. And I remember you said that your knowledge about ingredients and cooking was passed down through your family, too. The power of cooking death?
Yeah. And my grandpa taught me hands-on, just like how he taught me everything I needed to know about plants.
Eve squinted his eyes as if reminiscing.
He told me to assume that any living organism besides humans are edible, and that I should eat whatever I had the chance.
Oh, I should eat whenever I had the chance. Any living organism besides humans are edible. Well, that's where your grandpa lied, because humans are edible too, technically. I'm really surprised that we didn't go the cannibal route at all in this game with all the weird shit that's going on here.
It only feels like yesterday. Grandpa and I would get sick every time we tested a new ingredient to find something new to eat.
Well, that's probably because Grandpa's crazy. Like,
Anything that's living aside from humans, you can eat.
and I mean, to be fair, I know exactly what you were thinking. Well, that's where you were wrong. Right, there's a lot of things you shouldn't eat. They're poisonous or venomous or whatever. And yes, that, but it's also humans can be. You know, you're probably better off eating a person than some of those poisonous vegetables out there, Eve. I'm just saying. I was just glad they didn't consider humans to be food. I'm just surprised that was the line. It's so nice to have the same hobbies and tastes as someone you look up to.
Yeah, I respect my grandpa more than anyone in the world. I want to be just like him. A person who can love flowers no matter what.
He really loves his grandfather, doesn't he? Wait, is Anko your grandpa? Then if Anko... And... Wait. Oh no! That would be really fucked up. And that would make me question everything, because I was already on the... Are Adolphe and Anko somehow maybe the same but then if Anko's your grandpa, that means then am I your grandma? And then well, that's creepy. Whoa. I don't think the game's gonna go down the incest route. Because this would be definitely a really weird way to do it. Could you imagine? Could you just fucking imagine you date Eve, blah, 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 everything, and then you go down and then you find out that Anko is his grandpa, but Anko and Adolphe are the same person, and technically then you're Eve's grandma, and then you have to flash back to the route where you fucked Eve, and you're like, that would be goddamn and then you have to go back and do the good route, the good endings. So even though you played Eve's route and had no clue, you found out after and you felt traumatized, and then you got to go back and do the good endings and relive that oh my god. That's amazing! Now that's amazing. That is some kind of fucking like 4D chess level of horrors right there. That's amazing. I love it. Let's not do that though. But you know what I mean? You know how games you're always like, oh, we're dating my brother, and it's like, but it's not actually your brother. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, thank God. Unless you're me, then you're like, damn game. You need to hike up your tits and fucking let me bang my brother, okay? Which, you know, there was one point where we got to, and it was like, about time. Cool. But like, you know, for all my jokes and everything, but like, think normal people who aren't fucked up like me, when you get like the Adolphe route is gonna be like, oh my god, but he's like I keep calling him my brother, but he's not really, but he's like my adopted brother. He's like a step brother. And some people have weird things about that, right? like I used to have about cousins. You know? But it's even worse if the game you don't know, you go down this route, you love this character out, and then you find out afterward that they're related to you somehow. That's some fucked up shit! God damn! I mean, this game is the trauma train, so like, I can only imagine. Can you imagine how much trauma that would bring you? You're like, Eve's great, look at that sweet, and then you find out after that you're his grandma or some shit? The fuck? I mean, I don't think they're gonna go there, but that would be fucking hilarious. I'm sorry, I would fucking die. Oh my god. I would die. I highly doubt they're going there, but still. Anyway. Eve really loves his grandfather, doesn't he? As someone who has no memory of her parents, I was slightly jealous. But the fact that Eve later was admitted into the orphanage must mean something happened to that person. Oh, that's true. I was like, I kind of forgot about that because I was like, he's talking about his grandpa like he's still alive. So, like, are we going to meet him? Even so, he was blessed with such a loving grandchild who looked up to him. I was sure he was proud of having Eve around. But now I'm curious about Eve's... Oh, now we're Hugo? Wait, is Hugo Eve's grandpa? I don't know, my brain is like, who could be, like, somebody... Oh my god, it's Cyan. Cyan is... I mean, Cyan could be how many goddamn... You don't know how many people are Cyan's grandkids. I'm just saying. Except for the fact that Cyan is literally like, I don't have time for romance, whatever, and has no emotions. You know damn well he's still the biggest whore. But actually not. So, it's kind of funny because he just strikes you as he would be, out of all of the characters, he'd be the one with a fuck ton of grandkids running around. He would literally be the one that is like, God, so many bastard kids. But also, he ain't got the time for that shit. So, like, probably the only virgin in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's still kind of funny. Actually, to be fair, Dahut's probably the one's like, I don't know, I probably got a couple grandkids out there. Whatevs. That would actually be kind of funny. You're like, no, so weird. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. I am very intrigued, though, about Hugo. Like, in this, they're leaving me out again. Oh, no, Hugo, don't start getting jealous and bitter. Oh, no, we need you to be a good boy. I can't have anything bad happen to you in this route, and I can't have you turn into, like, another Jean where you turn into, like, some kind of evil sociopath. I can't do it. You're my good boy. Don't do it to me. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.